Hello everyone and welcome to this video of the most beautiful section of mathematics, trigonometric identities. Before I start, I apologize for my bad English accent, for my bad English pronunciation. It's not my native language and I have never studied mathematics in English. I found this identity on Mr. McLogan's YouTube channel. In the description of this video, you can see the link to the video where Mr. McLogan proves it. I found other 4 methods to do it. Let's go now. Here is the first method. Left hand side is cosine x minus cosine x to 1 minus tan x. Now we multiply this fraction and divide it by the numerator of the right hand side. Sine x cosine x, sine x cosine x. Now we multiply these two fractions and we get cosine x minus cosine x multiplied by sine x multiplied by cosine x is cosine squared x sine x. 1 multiplied by anything, anything doesn't change. So sine x cosine x minus. Now, don't forget that tan x is sine x divided by cosine x. So we cancel this cosine, which is in the denominator of the tan, with this cosine, and we get sine squared x. Next step, cosine x minus cosine squared x sine x. Look at the denominator. We have sine and sine squared, so we can take the sine x as a common factor. So we have cosine x minus sine x. Now we can cancel this sine with this sine. Cosine x minus, leave some space, cosine squared x to sine x minus cosine x. And here we have another minus. How did I arrive to these two minuses? Don't forget that a minus b is equal to minus b minus a. So I just changed this a with this b and took the minus up. So now I have minus minus. This is plus. So cosine x plus cosine squared x to sine x minus cosine x. Now, if I multiply cosine x and divide it by this denominator, I will have this fraction, one fraction, which is cosine x multiplied by sine x minus cosine x plus cosine squared x to sine x minus cosine x. is equal to. Now multiply cosine x with sine x minus cosine x. We have cosine x sine x minus cosine by cosine, it's cosine squared x plus cosine squared x to sine x minus cosine x. Now look here, we have cosine squared x minus cosine squared x. We can cancel them, and what is remained is cosine x sine x to sine x minus cosine x, which is right hand side. Don't forget that a multiplied by b is equal to b multiplied by a. This is right hand side. This is the first other one method to prove this. The second method, left hand side is cosine x minus cosine x divided by 1 minus tan x. Now we can take the cosine as a common factor, and we get cosine x. Here we have 1 minus 1 minus tan x. Now cosine x multiplied by 1 minus 1 divided by 1 minus tan x. Here we divide and multiply by this denominator, 1 minus tan x, 1 minus tan x. And we get cosine x multiplied by this bracket, 1 minus tan x minus 1 divided by 1 minus tan x. Now in the numerator we have minus 1 and negative 1. They cancel each other. So we get cosine x multiplied by minus tan x, which is remained in the numerator. Here we have minus tan x minus 1. How? The same way in the first method. Never forget that a minus b is equal to negative b minus a. This is a and this is b. I just changed their places and took the minus sign out. Now I can cancel these minuses with each other. Then in the same step we can multiply by cosine x. So we get cosine x multiplied by tan multiplied by cosine is sine x. Now tan multiplied by cosine, it's sine again, minus 1 multiplied by cosine is cosine x. Cosine multiplied by sine is sine x. Cosine x divided by sine x minus cosine x, which is the right hand side. The third method, In the right hand side, we have sine x cosine x multiplied by sine x minus cosine x. In the left hand side, we have cosine x. So I will subtract it and add it. Minus cosine plus cosine cancel each other. I actually did nothing. In the left hand side, we have the positive cosine. So I will not do anything with it. Plus this fraction minus cosine x. Now divide the numerator and the denominator of this fraction by cosine x. Multiplication and division. So I can cancel these two cosines. And I get cosine x plus sine x. Now, in the denominator, we have sine divided by cosine. It's tan x minus cosine divided by itself is 1 minus cosine x. Now, cosine x plus minus sine x divided by by 1 minus tan x minus cosine x. How did I get this fraction? Again and again. Don't forget that a minus b is negative b minus a. This is a and this is b. I changed their places. And since it's a fraction, it doesn't matter where the minus is. It can be in the numerator and the denominator. It equals cosine x plus minus is minus sine x to 1 minus tan x minus cosine x. Now multiply and divide by this denominator, 1 minus tan x, 1 minus tan x. It's equal to cosine x minus. Now take the negative sign as a common factor, and we get sine x to 1 minus tan x. After we have taken this minus as a common factor, it becomes plus cosine x 1 minus tan x to 1 minus tan x. Now we get cosine x minus. We have the same denominator of both fractions, 1 minus tan x sine x plus cosine multiplied by 1, cosine x minus cosine multiplied by tan x is sine x. Now look here, positive sign and the negative one cancel each other. Now we have cosine x minus cosine x divided by 1 minus tan x, which is the left hand side. I have just found a fourth method to prove this identity. The right hand side is sine x cosine x, sine x minus cosine x. In the left hand side, we have this fraction. Remember that you can't just add or just subtract. You can add and subtract the same thing. So if you don't, you just changed the problem itself. In the left hand side, we have this fraction, cosine x to 1 minus tan x. One minus tan x. Sorry. Now, here, before I start, in the left hand side we have the negative fraction, so don't touch it. Just deal with this. Now, multiply and divide by cosine x. And you get sine x cosine x, sine x minus cosine x, plus cosine multiplied by itself is cosine squared x. Cosine multiplied by 1 is cosine x, minus tan multiplied by cosine is sine x minus cosine x to 1 minus tan x. Now look here. Sine x cosine x, so sine x minus cosine x minus cosine square x to sine minus cosine. You have seen it many times in this video. I just changed the places of this A and this B and took the minus to the numerator, and plus minus is minus. Minus cosine x to 1 minus tan x. Now sine x cosine x minus cosine square x to sine x minus cosine x minus cosine x 1 minus tan x. Now look at this fraction. Take in the numerator, take the cosine as a common factor. Cosine x. Now we have sine x minus cosine x, sine x minus cosine x minus cosine x 1 minus tan x. Now look at this fraction. Cancel these brackets with each other. Sine minus cosine cancelled with itself. Sorry. What do we have here? Cosine x minus cosine x to 1 minus tan x, which is the left hand side. This is the fourth method to prove this identity. Thank you for watching, and thank you for asking me about the three other methods which I found, and I have just found the fourth one. So really thank you so much. Sorry, I forgot your name, but I'm really grateful to you. And thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Hope to see you in another video about this most beautiful section of mathematics, which is trigonometric identities. Goodbye.